Hello, everybody. It's Jason here with Theorem Radio. Hey, I just wanted to thank y'all for joining us for our program tonight and to let y'all know that we are going to be live on the Inception Radio Network every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, so don't miss it. There'll also be a video feed, and I just want to give a shout out to Joe, who's producing our show at the Inception Radio Network. Thanks, Joe. A.K.A. Big Feet in the chat room if you happen to be in there. So thank you very much. Also, go to truththeoremradio.com to check out all our upcoming guests, show archives, and much, much more. All right, we will get started here with Season 2 and J.C. Johnson.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
You got the wrong guy. I'm the dude, man.
Take it easy. We're the good guys.
Are you ready for a war?
Oh, dear Lord Jesus, this ain't happening, man. This can't be happening, man. This isn't happening.
Coming to you live from the top of a crappy old building somewhere near the armpit of Utah, this is Truth Theorem Radio with your hosts, Warren, Rob, and Jason, with their special guest, J.C. Johnson.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of
Truth Theorem Radio.
Bing! Episode number 2.1.
2.1.
That's where my Bing's supposed to go.
This is Season 2. How come you
Season
jumped the gun?
2. It's all right.
I jumped the Bing gun.
You did.
Good.
I'm a Bing jumper.
Dang it.
Bing jumper.
So,
How's our video feed there, Dale?
Is there anybody watching us?
Did we go live on video?
hello?
We have a new live video cam, in case nobody knew.
And for those of you who don't have a computer, then you can listen to us where? Nowhere. All right. We'll send up smoke signals. Translated
right.
the show. Yeah. Thank you.
So today we have J.C. Johnson on the show.
This is going to be cool.
I'm excited.
He's a renowned crypto investigator, and it's not just limited to Bigfoot. He investigates all kinds of stuff, including a Skinwalker, which is I love. That's very fascinating to me.
Skinwalkers.
We talked to this guy the other day, and holy crap.
Wow.
He's all over the place.
He knows everything.
And he's not just a crypto guy. So it's going to be interesting to talk with him and pick his brain. For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Really.
So we're going to switch it up here a little bit. I think we're going to do some new segments for Season 2.
Yeah. We're going to do things a little different for y'all.
At beginning of, we're live.
Yeah,
live.
we are live.
It doesn't really feel a whole lot different.
From here on out, no, feels about the same, really.
Yeah, I'm a 2-second lag.
Are you? Oh, okay.
I'm almost live. I have a 2-second lag.
You have to have an edit button.
You have the beep button. Yeah.
Sorry.
In case you screw up. Right.
What's our new segment?
We want to do this thing called Theorem Thoughts.
Theorem Thoughts.
Theorem Thoughts?
Theorem Thoughts.
Yeah.
So these are what? These are...
I'll go, and it's just kind of... All of us this is kind of what we do, right?
I think that meant wait your turn.
Yeah, you just sit there and just wait your turn.
All right.
All week, we all kind of do research in our search for the truth, and we thought we'd kind of maybe have a little segment where we share what we've researched over the week.
There we go.
That's kind of what we've done.
And by the way, before we continue, does anybody know who we are?
We are Truth Theorem Radio.
Yes, but who each one of us is?
You're Rob.
I'm Rob.
Yes, you are Rob.
Just so you know, for those of you listening, I am Rob.
And that's all you need to know.
And that's all you need to know. That's it. Move on.
And I'm Jason, and here's what I researched over the week.
All right, Jason.
I don't know if you guys listen to us regularly here on Inception Radio Network, but we're generally on Saturday nights. We've just moved to Wednesday nights now from here on out.
That's right.
Last Saturday night, they played one of our favorite rerun episodes of the Caesaria Dragon.
Yeah.
And that was
Discovery.
very interesting. Yeah.
It was. That's one of my favorite episodes, I think, of season 1. If you didn't catch that, go back and check it out. Also, Mike Hallett is the discoverer
of the Caesaria Dragon.
Caesaria guy, yeah. He is putting together the Hallettstonian Research Project now. He's assembling a group for a dig this spring, and he's actually got a paleontologist on board. And holy crap, we're going to figure out for real, once and for all, if there were 540-million-year-old, 300-foot sea dragons living in the ancient oceans.
This is happening when? In the springtime?
Of the world, yes.
So now is the time to go out and get your stones to build your water feature or your front yard with your very own dragon before they're, roped off and the government, get away from there. Because he may be
fossils.
Right.
Yeah, he may be right.
He may be right. They may be real fossils.
So I would go.
Did you have to go to the restroom? Yes, sir. All right.
Be right back.
Warren has to leave and come right back.
So go to Caesaria.com and you can find more information on his project and the information on all that. Pretty fantastic stuff.
Yeah, Mike's a good guy. We had him right here in the studio.
Yeah.
And spoke to him. So, that gave us that little bit of communication that we don't normally get over the phone.
Sure. Yeah.
So he was pretty credible.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a nice guy, and he really believes his stuff, and he thinks his science is correct. So, if you have some alternative view of what he found, we would love to hear it.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe you high schoolers could get together and take a little field trip.
Just go to his site and look at all the research. I mean, he's got over 10,000 hours of research into this thing, and it's
borderline
it's pretty
obsessive.
in depth. Yeah, it's really in depth. So either he's obsessive compulsive nutbag, or he's really onto something here.
Yeah.
It's very compelling, though.
Yeah.
Because nature, when you see, like, what did they say? One of the paleontologists came out and looked at it and said, no, it's just rocks falling off of the mountain.
Yeah.
But how do they land in specific categorized left and right patterns? And, they match each other. You don't see that in nature.
Yeah. No,
not all over the place. Well, that I've seen.
Not in my neighborhood.
Though, so
not in my neighborhood.
I haven't seen everything yet.
Yeah. We don't have that in my neighborhood. But I would
in
have
your
one.
neighborhood.
I would like to have one of those boulders, though.
I just had to say hey to Race in the chat room.
Oh, yes.
He was kind of in the hospital way back. So, hey, Race, shout out to you. Hope you're feeling better, buddy.
Yes.
You scared us. Anyway. Yeah. So, Warren, what did you research over the week there?
You know what? Pass it on
why
to
does he get
Rob.
to go next?
He's got to go out. Okay, Rob. Okay, you're up, buddy. Go ahead.
It's my turn. So privileged. It's the UFO stuff. Okay, there's a lady. Okay, I'm gonna read this stuff so I make sure I get it right. Her name is Dawn. She's from Pine Ridge in South Dakota. She claims she received an official White House Christmas card from Michelle Obama that prominently featured a UFO in the sky above the winter White House scene. Now, she believes that her card is from the original photo, which was mailed out by accident, and one she compares it to is on the internet where the UFO is gone out of the picture. Now, if you go on YouTube, she has an entire little storyline where she tells you how she mailed off a card to the Obamas, and they mailed her back one. And she has kids, so she was taking pictures of her kids, and she's getting the Obamas' kids, and so on and so forth. And eventually she gets this card from them with a definite little alien in the picture.
Wow.
Alien or UFO?
Oh, UFO, excuse me. Yeah, he wasn't flying above. It wasn't like he was like in the ship.
Wow.
I think. I don't know. There's no windows.
Now that is a great idea for my Christmas cards next year. Yeah.
That is a great. Now
I'm going to Photoshop in a little UFO on the
part
background.
of the story.
See who catches it. Yeah.
You little detectives out there, while you're watching her little YouTube video, part of the story you may not catch is that her son just graduated from film school. Now, coinkydink, I don't know, but maybe it could be. Who knows? Yeah. So maybe he doctored it, slipped it in.
You know what's interesting to me now? I've never sent the White House or any of its inhabitants a Christmas card.
No.
Okay. But if I did, I don't really think I'd expect to get one back.
Probably not.
Probably not.
But if you did, that's pretty cool. And then you send another one and get another one back. Yeah. I'm not so sure.
I think they send out thousands of them, actually.
Probably do. Do.
A few times?
Of cards. Yeah, the White House sends out, I think, thousands of them.
Yeah, probably.
Really?
So.
It's good, promotion.
Yeah.
Bahamas.
I think the White House probably has an account at Flowers R Us or something.
They have a printer. They have a printer on premises that sends out. But how could this go unnoticed? How could some guy who's like boxing up these cards, go, what is that object in the background? It's just an airplane. Don't even look at it. Is he completely blind?
They didn't send it past those people that wrote the response to the petition, did they?
No.
Hey, can you look at this? Make sure it's okay to send out? Yeah, we don't know what that is.
The
Go
disclosure petition.
Please.
That's another story. All right. Do you
Yeah.
have a theorem thought today? Warren?
I have no theorem thought today.
You are thoughtless?
I am thoughtless.
That is horrible.
Well, there were a few things,
Is
but
that what you
nothing.
wanted to pass? No,
Nothing,
you could do the one you were going to do. Let's
Nothing
go.
popped
Right
up?
here, you're on the spot. Do it.
You have one?
No, I'm going to research it more because it's too big to just kind of blow over, I feel.
Wow.
And that was the biggest thing. I want to know exactly what I'm talking about.
What did you discover?
Nope. We're not talking.
Cow.
Wow.
There's
But-
no discovery.
It's going to be big maybe next week.
It will be. It will
The
be.
ground
I
breaking.
am sure that we will probably talk about it with JC though, and he knows a lot more about it than I. And
He
then I
will
could
dig
find.
it out of you.
Okay, yeah, maybe we'll let that. Yeah, because that's a neat topic, and everybody
It
needs
is.
to be aware of
Well,
that.
and my problem was everything that I saw, I
What
didn't
is? I
feel
didn't
like
even hear.
passing on because it felt like a lot of hearsay
Yeah.
and maybe not necessarily what's really going on. So
Maybe JC will have the scoop.
Yeah.
either that or I will next week for sure.
Just in case you listeners don't know what they're talking about, neither do I.
You'll
That's
figure
correct.
it out. You'll figure it out here in
Yeah.
a minute. Okay.
We're all in this together.
That's right.
Us against them. All right. So, are we going to start talking to JC?
Are you excited?
Yes,
You're
I am.
excited
I've been thinking
to talk
about-
to JC?
I've been researching and looking at all his stuff. I find his stuff
I have
incredible.
to.
I love
We
Bigfoot.
set this up a couple weeks
Crypto
ago, and
stuff.
I'm actually really.
He's got some very interesting videos on YouTube. If you guys haven't seen
Oh,
it,
yeah.
go check it out. Crypto Four Corners is what it's under, and there's in fact we're going to talk about it today. But wow, I've never again. Here's a skeptic. Okay, I'll admit I'll put the skeptic hat on. Bigfoot, whatever. There's some pretty convincing video that he's got.
I agree.
That
I watched it
you
all
look
too,
at it
yeah.
and go, man, what? Really?
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we should get to it.
Isn't there some thing going on in southern Utah soon that he's?
Oh, there is.
Yeah.
What's
Well, I
that?
don't know if he's a part of it or not, but we're going to be a part of it. For
That's
sure.
true.
Yeah, we probably ought to plug that. I guess
Please.
It's the proof of evidence seminar.
Uh-huh.
And it's I guess it's a webinar. I guess
It is going to be a webinar because it's closed to the public.
private event.
Is
Yes.
that a real word? Webinar?
I guess.
Yes, it is now.
I just
No,
made
it
it
really
up.
is.
No,
No,
I think it really is.
You just made it up?
No, he didn't.
God, I'm so gullible. Go ahead.
Rob will buy anything.
That's why.
You know what was awesome is it was in Utah, so we're like, hey, let's get a hold of these guys. We'll go down there and we'll cover the event.
Right.
And when we did, they were going to charge $13 if you prepaid.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
before. And now they're going to do the whole stream for free. All you have to do is go and sign up for the feed. And that's on our website, truththeoremradio.com. There, you click on that and it'll take you there.
Free for the whole world.
There's so many big names in crypto that are going to be there focusing on Bigfoot that, man,
Yeah.
this is unprecedented
and
event.
video evidence, and the media is all invited, all the media stations and everything.
Did we get
And
invited?
We got invited.
An official
And-
invitation?
Yeah, we're going to be there.
Oh, right
for
on.
sure. Yeah,
And you
we're
guys
gonna-
can too. Just sign up for the feed and check it out.
Anybody have a really nice trailer that we could stay in?
We'll have
Nobody?
a trailer.
All right, let's go
on
stay
nice
better.
place.
Right on. I'm ready.
I'm sure there's hotels.
Yeah, do we get to talk to him yet? Yeah, is it time
Sure.
yet? Is it time yet? Is it time yet? I'm being my parents. I want to speak
Are
to
we
him.
going to go to break now?
Oh, we have a break?
Okay.
First?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's go to break,
Well.
and then we'll get him on the horn. I think he's
All right.
probably ready and waiting.
Cool.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Let's be right back with Jason Johnson.
Billy, are you excited to go hiking?
Oh, no, Dad, I don't want to go hiking. Every time I do, I trip over everything and fall down.
Well, son, I remember that. That's why I got you these.
Wow, what are they?
These are the Sandal Squatch.
Oh,
Introducing the new Sandal Squatch by D-Bach. Now you too can stride in style just like the infamous Bigfoot. Sculpted from a genuine picture of an original Bigfoot casting and handcrafted by a third world cobbler's son. Each shoe comes in a left and right configuration, and best of all, one size fits all. Children's and senior sizes coming soon. As a bonus gift, you will also receive a free trial sample of our authentically simulated genuine Yeti musk for men, and a free 1-year membership in the Nessie Snorkeling Club.
Did you have a good time hiking, son?
oh yeah, Dad, those sandal squatches are great. Wow, what big feet you have.
And they help with the ladies, too.
Aw, Dad.
Sasquatch is not intended for outdoor use. May cause stumbling, tripping, and a total loss of balance. All previous claims are alleged and have been proven otherwise. Do not use alcohol or operate heavy machinery while using this product.
Wow. It's kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
It's all part of the plan.
Are you sure this is legal?
I don't know. It's fun though, isn't it?
And we are back.
and I feel like the Three Stooges all of a sudden. And, ta-da-ta-da-ta-ta.
We're back. We got JC Johnson with us on the line. JC, you there?
I'm here. I'm the fourth stooge. So you guys are the four stooges today.
Sweet.
Perfect.
JC, you're our kind of guy.
And he's got the cool hair, too. He's got the cool hair and the good beard.
The good voice.
He's got the...
got the good voice. I always got to point that out to you, Rob.
The great voice, yeah.
I
know, because my voice sucks. That's why you pointed it out. He's very disrespectful.
It's all the cigarettes and tequila. It really
is. Is that what it is?
Is that what it takes?
It's the cigarettes and tequila voice.
That's the secret.
I did tell you guys about the case of whiskey you're sending me for the show, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we did.
Windsor? Okay, cool.
I think he mentioned this off air and now on air to make sure we do.
Yeah.
This guy knows what he's doing. He's not taking any chances.
It's on record.
This case is coming.
Well, you've got to take it to a reservation address, and that's a little bit difficult at times. You go down this road for about 3 miles. You turn left at the white tire. Then you turn right at the bear that looks like a rock. And then you turn left at the rock that looks like a bear. Wait a minute.
Well,
I'm
simple.
confused. Anyway, let's change the topic here.
Wow. Right now I want to try to weasel in on some kind of Southern Utah research. When you go, I've never done a research. Have you ever done a Bigfoot research?
No,
Jason? No. Warren?
Not me. I'm too scared.
Are you really? No, I'd be down, I think.
No, I'd be down with it too. Yeah. Now, I'm saying this at the beginning of the show before he talks about it.
Yeah, we may change our
tune. Yeah, when it's all over,
I'll
be like, send us some photos. Thanks a lot. Don't ever call us again. We are very excited.
Well, you sent us a bunch of videos, and I went through them all, and wow, there's some cool stuff. The skunk one was really cool in the pipe.
Yeah.
That was neat. It looked like he probably trapped the skunk in the pipe, and they punched a hole in each side of the skunk and carried it out in the middle of the field.
I want to hear him tell it.
Yeah, that was neat.
I think you're right on track. Absolutely. And this individual had to pick the pipe up after it punched the holes in, carry the pipe out in front of it about 100 yards out into the field. And at that point, I think it was comfortable doing the business it had to do. And if the skunk got away, it could definitely run it down in the field. But where the pipe was in the first place was often a bunch of weeds up at the end of the field. So the skunk could easily get away from the perpetrator in that area. So there was a lot of intelligence to it. And a lot of people said, well, why didn't they just take the pipe and turn it upside down and try to shake the skunk out? And it might have done that. There's a lot of buildup inside the pipe. You get a lot of heavy water deposits. It's San Juan River water. So I could see our poor little skunk digging its claws in pretty good and puffing itself up and not sliding out of the pipe. So
now the carcass that you found, was it absent of meat or internal organs? Or
the first night this happened, Brenda Harris went out there on the request of the property owners, and I can send you that video too, and I can also link you to it. But it's a short video called "The Night Before" photos, and what Brenda's done is took pictures of the destruction to the pipe. The first night there was blood all over the exterior as well as the interior of the pipe, and we're fairly convinced the skunk bit its attacker quite a bit, quite a few times. So we had a lot of external blood on the pipe. And, it's pretty obvious in the photos what happened that first night. When I'm out there the next day, the attacker had come back and borrowed parts off of the skunk throughout the whole period of the night. When Brenda got there the first night, the skunk was mostly still intact. Just the scent sac was tore off. That's the first thing that happened. And our perpetrator probably tore the scent sac off inside the pipe while it was still in there.
On purpose?
Sure. Oh yeah, that was I think that was the most important piece of the skunk was the scent sac.
And why is that?
Yeah, I don't think it accidentally.
That's
fell out,
odd
though.
behavior for any animal, isn't it?
To tear something out like that.
To be selective like that.
Well, not only that, to be selective over something that smells so bad.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that
yeah.
keeps all nature away, doesn't it?
Exactly. And I think the game changer just a few years ago, and I run this river. We guided on the San Juan for several years. I still run it mostly, by myself. But we used to do guided tours, and we had some different horrific things happen down at these river camps. No one got killed, but we had some really unpleasant experiences with the furry ones. And it got to the point I really couldn't take anybody down anymore and guarantee their safety. People are paying you to, go on vacation with them and show them a good time. And, it's hard for a lot of people to fathom this phenomenon being down there along the San Juan River. And if they're not open-minded enough to embrace it, then they could become a missing person or perhaps a casualty if they don't know what they're doing. So as far as the happy-go-lucky end of doing river tours, that's pretty much out of the question anymore.
Jason, that sounded scary. That sounded scary. If they don't, they might be missing if you don't like what you see.
That's got to wreak havoc on your insurance.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah.
We're believers, so we'd like to go.
Okay, I'll take you guys.
Okay,
I'm
good.
ready. Just bring the whiskey, right?
Well, one of you has to dress up in a Pocahontas dress covered in honey. Is that okay?
That's
Rob did that just earlier.
He brought that.
Why didn't I get volunteered for that one? Because I don't have the
costume.
I don't have the most manly voice. That's
have the
why.
costume.
Yeah.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
yeah. Earlier, I had a Pokemon costume on.
So
No, he
So
really
that's another
did.
story.
He really did,
Of
and it was
course,
very scary.
I don't lie. This is Truth Theorem Radio.
That was scary.
We don't
For
lie
sure.
here. This is
So there was another video about same kind of deal, sort of about rabbits, and
Yeah.
they carried the rabbit cage out into the deal. Is this in the same area, or was this the same rat?
Probably within a mile and a half or so.
Okay, and this was like a 4-H farm or something, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, and once again, Brenda Harris, she's the lady to contact out in that area, and she had gone out, talked with these people, surveyed the area, and got me out there to get the video and to investigate this further before anything else got disturbed. And one of the first things I noticed, the property owner showing me how the cage had been drug around, and almost every single trace of tracks had been rubbed out by the cage being drug around. And right away I'm thinking, well, this could be raccoon, this could be that. And I've seen raccoon pick the meat off a chicken through chicken wire until the chicken disappears. There's a lot of different variables. But then they showed me these trucker straps, the big heavy rubber trucker straps have been ripped. I mean, just ripped to get the cage away. So that got me intrigued. Then I saw the rabbit cage about 70 yards out in their alfalfa field. So we went out there to investigate that a little further, and it was obvious to us the cage had been carried out there, and it would take hands to carry the cage. It hadn't been drugged. There wasn't any alfalfa in the bottom of the cage. So it's pretty obvious it had been carried out there. And it was plucking the rabbit while it was still inside the cage. I think the first rabbit it went after got away, and I believe that rabbit died about a mile and a half down the road. It's not a wild rabbit. It's a show rabbit for 4-H. And this particular case, the perpetrator's probably thinking he doesn't want this one to get away, so he's doing his business inside the cage where the rabbit can't escape.
Oh, good idea, I guess.
Yeah. Well, they think a lot differently than we do.
For sure.
That leads me to the question: what would these Sasquatch or Bigfoot or Dogmen or any of these kind of creatures eat if they're not eating people's rabbits or eating skunks? Because they're pretty big creatures, 250, 300 pounds, some of them.
Yeah.
We need to go back to the skunk where I was leading you, and I got off track too. I believe the furry ones, the Sasquatch, for many years, because we've run this river for several years, I believe that they come down during the high water, and some of them go out to the islands in the San Juan, and they give birth there on the island. And at high water, all the natural predators, other than the giant snakes, they're safe. The babies would be fairly safe there, and a nursing mother or whatever would be fairly safe during the high water flow on these islands in the San Juan. The game changer was probably 2 or 3 years ago, a jaguar showed up. And jaguar love the water. They'll swim anywhere they want to. Cougar will cross the water. They don't like it. They won't target something and swim to it. That's not what a cougar does. But a jaguar will go anywhere. And I think the jaguar was the game changer just a few short years ago, showing up in this area. The Sasquatch weren't safe giving birth on the islands anymore with the jaguar being able to get to them.
Wow.
Oh,
So
well,
there comes a skunk scent sack, which, you know, a lot of people describe, you know, you guys were talking about the smelly aspects of this genre. A lot of people just describe this smelly wet dog mixed with horse pee / this, that, and otherwise. And then a lot of times all that's mixed in with a skunk flavor. And I think the skunk flavor is imported in most cases.
So he's using.
If you were going to mask,
So-
if you were going to mask your babies against a predator smells a skunk. 9 times out of 10, they probably wouldn't go investigate that. They'd rather go get the rabbit or go get the goat or the sheep or the deer. You know, and I'm not saying all the time. I know there are things that eat skunks. There are animals that will, you know, pursue a skunk, but that might be last on their list. So I think as far as covering up youngsters and perhaps yourself, skunk's probably a pretty good scent to get behind and hide behind.
Great sense, yeah.
well, so how conscious do you think these beings are? How intelligent are they?
I think in their realm, I mean, they've definitely got the upper hand, you know, and when you go into their living room, they do have the upper hand. They know every stick, tree, branch, rock, where to hide. You know, they really do have the upper hand when you're in there.
If they see you, or you see them, more importantly, do you think it's because they choose for you to see them?
I believe so. I really do. I think there's been a few situations where you get the blurry, fleeing image getting away from you, where okay, this wasn't supposed to happen. Then other times, you know, I've had prolonged sightings in broad daylight. We watched one for about 7 minutes walking down this hill toward us in broad daylight, and he ended up about 70 yards away from. Basically, it was our backyard.
Wow,
that's crazy.
Yeah, and he was up on this knoll, and he'd been seen there before, and we went up and investigated on top of this knoll, and didn't really see anything. I looked at the ledge that the witness told me he jumped down onto and did some kind of funky dance. I'm like, okay. And I looked at that ledge, and I said, you know, I wouldn't go down there with 2 ropes tied on me. I wouldn't even think about it. And this thing, according to my witness, jumped down on this ledge. And he went in his house to get some binoculars. When he came back, it was gone. So, you know, we kind of checked this out. And the thing that's noteworthy, they were doing a site analysis, a town analysis for Tisnos Post. It's out there right very near the Four Corners National Monument, about 5 miles away. And what was up there were 2 transmitter antennas and a big battery box. And I'd stood next to those transmitter antennas and kind of reached up. They were probably a little better than 7 feet tall. And when we saw this individual on that mountain knoll, that hill that we were down below in the valley, when I saw him standing next to the transmitters, the towers, you know, the short towers, he was twice as tall as they were. So it was a really good opportunity to get a height indication from that type of distance.
Wow, interesting.
Well, go ahead. Oh, you had some?
Yeah, I want to go back to this where you said you found blood. Did you get and you said you got samples. What did you get any results from that? What did it come back as?
The samples from the skunk attack, those have been sent in to Dr. Melba Ketchum and her ongoing DNA study. And that should be, I believe, if it's not in for peer review, it should be in for peer review very shortly. And we're just a very small part of the study. She has over 106 to 109 samples on a global scale that have made it into this study. So we're a small part. We've got a few samples, and we're very blessed and pleased with that. But it's a very large study.
But have you heard of these guys, the Texas Bigfoot Conservancy? Are these the guys who they are shooting at Bigfoot so they can collect a specimen?
And yes, I believe they are actively hunting to harvest a specimen.
Is that what you do when you go out and do your investigation?
No.
Oh.
I'm pro-defense, but I'm not pro-kill. If anything's going to hurt me or anybody who's out with me, it's getting whacked.
Yeah, okay. So you're not going to put names or
anything? But I'm not purposely looking. Now, there's some other things. There are some things out there that we're going to harvest, but it's not Sasquatch, not the furry ones, not the humanoids, the hominoids. They're not getting harvested. But there are some things out there that we're looking into that we're gonna have to bring some specimens in for science.
Like what?
Where along the line do these like Bigfoot, you call them the furry ones? Where do they fit in human evolution, or what type of creature or humanoid were they? Or are they?
Are they is the question, and that's the big question. It's not the missing link. I'll say that much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
I agree.
There is no missing link, but I won't even go there. that's diving off the deep end, or diving off the diving board and hitting the shallow end head first. I got to be, really careful with that. I don't want to. No, the ancestry is interesting, very interesting. The ancestry, and it'll be fascinating for everyone to be able to read this review this paper, when it comes out in the scientific journal. It's going to be earth-shaking, and it's going to have a lot of people scratching their heads, going, "Oh wow, I would have. Who would have thunk?" It's going to be one of those type of moments, And I think when everything comes out, a lot of the research that's been going on, it's actually time to kind of like start over and go back to the blackboard, the drawing board, and reevaluate what we've been doing, what everyone's been doing, things I don't do anymore. Now that I know better, I just don't do a lot of stuff I used to.
Right. We all came from a ghost hunting background, and that same kind of deal there. We all kind of had backwards ways back in the days, and things evolve, and I think the more people get together and the more evidence that's compiled in one place where everybody can have some benefit from that, the better off the whole industry will be.
And number one too is getting out there, and then we're basically revealing a species unknown to mankind in science for the most part. And when what they really are is revealed, that's going to be the most interesting thing of all, probably for most people. And it's going to change a lot of opinions. And a lot of people that are doing some things right now, particularly in the area of hunting to harvest, which, if that's your take on things and you feel that's what you need to do, or you're just trying to beat the DNA study by bringing in the body. And it's unfortunate because one of the samples into the study came from a Bigfoot being shot.
Wow.
We had this gentleman on the radio last Sunday. We did a Crypto Four Corners, Squatch DTV, Steve Coles, and Abe Del Rio from Minnesota Bigfoot Research. We all got together and simulcast on 3 of our programs to get a larger audience. Justin Smedja, and we let him tell his story about what happened. So if you get the opportunity, there's a...
I would like to hear that story.
It's a 2-hour program. Chris Knoll recorded, I think, about 28 minutes worth of Justin Smedja telling about what happened. And that's kind of like in brief, you would hear his story. And, we've got a whole lot of feedback on that, believe me.
What's your take on it? Did that whole incident really...
Is it a hoax or is it a reality?
Well, irregardless, if a little green man knocked on his door and handed him this sample to send into this study, the sample checks out. You know, if it's deer, it's deer. If it's coyote, it's coyote. If it's dog, it's dog. I mean, you can't fool the science of this. You can't cut a chunk of meat off a cadaver, a human cadaver, or, you know, you can't fool the science of this. You know, we've had others detracting Mr. Smedge's sample, saying it's a coyote belly. Well, it might appear to be a coyote belly, but it wouldn't be in the study if it was. You can't fool the science of this. Everything is revealed for what it is.
Well, there's so many hoaxes out there, which is horrible. I mean, anybody who tries to do any legitimate research is just going to run into hoax after hoax after hoax, and it just kind of turns people off to it.
Sure.
So how are we supposed to fish our way through? I know you seem to know this answer that you're not telling.
Can't share all these secrets.
Yeah, but so how are we supposed to weed our way through these hoaxes?
I suppose you could. I suppose you could ask. There's no real hoaxes going on right now, as far as I'm concerned, other than some people returning back to kind of some attention gathering, who were involved in some hoaxing from Georgia some years ago. There's someone out there stirring the pot, if you will.
Is he still out there? I mean, are we not allowed to say Tom? Is that what we're allowed to say?
No, it's not. It has nothing. Well, it's not Tom. It's someone else. Georgia.
Joe.
Okay.
Frank. Yeah.
Frank.
Okay.
All right. Well, so everything that people go on, if they go onto YouTube and start looking up things about Bigfoot or dogmen or this kind of thing, what they're looking at is pretty credible?
No. I mean, to field through all the silly videos that are on YouTube would take a lifetime. I don't have that much time. If you have one particular thing in mind, drop us an email, or you could talk to Steve Coles. You could talk with Alex Hearn from Arizona Cryptozoological Society. I mean, there's a lot of really knowledgeable people out there. If you have questions about some things, you know, I publicly, I don't bash anybody publicly. If you get with me privately, I'll give you my opinion on different things, without a doubt. But publicly, I don't pick on people's work.
Gotcha.
Cool.
And publicly, you know, if somebody tells a story that they were at a bar mitzvah and a Bigfoot showed up and they danced and stuff, you know, I'm not going to call them out on that. If they believe that, then, you know, that's fine.
Non-judgment. Good.
Yeah. What was the woman who was having that experience? Wasn't she having a Bigfoot at her house or coming to her work or something?
Yeah, but she was the only one that could see it.
Yeah, she was the only one that could see it. Yeah.
That's another thing, too. And I don't really think, so in so many ways, we're going to point that direction. But there's a lot of strange things about these entities, these creatures that we really can't explain. I've had a lot of strange things happen to me, and I've really tried over the years to stay of a science mind. You know, a track line that disappears. Where did they go? Did they get beamed up? You know, different things like that. A lot of things we can't explain. You know, we saw, me and Alex Hearn were sitting on the side of the San Juan River. We'd taken a 2-day trip, and we had breakfast. We're making coffee, and I'd scoured the camp wherever I could get out. You know, we were just right on the bank of the river, and I happened to look right to our left, and there's a perfect 16, 18-inch squatch print. Oh, not Sasquatch print. I've been corrected about saying squatch.
It's America. You can say whatever you want.
Squatch. The definition of squatch is a very unpleasant part of a female anatomy, so we're not supposed to.
It sounds like a sexual harassment charge.
I thought this would happen when you sat on your swatch.
No,
swatch wrong.
Please.
Squatch. I'm sorry. All right.
Okay.
We were staring at this perfect print, and I'm like, I'm an idiot. How did I miss that? You know, and we're both getting up to get cameras. And when we come back, we go to take the picture of it. Whatever was standing in the print stepped out of it, and it filled in with water and mud immediately.
Really? Right in front of your eyes?
Well, that tells you that it just happened.
Wow.
Immediately.
So do you think that maybe
something was there that we couldn't see? Can I explain it? Do I know it was a Sasquatch? No. But do I know
like
when I saw
thing?
It was a perfect print. And when we saw the picture, whatever was standing in the print stepped out of it. I mean, it filled in immediately with water. And there's quite a bit of current going through that part of the river right there, right by the bank. So I mean,
Wait a minute.
something in stealth mode.
Am I? Yeah, that's what I'm like reading between the lines here.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that when you saw the print, it was actually standing there.
Yeah.
And so when you came back later, the print's all full of water because he wasn't standing there anymore.
This is a period of about 45 seconds. From the time we saw the print till we got up to get our cameras, as we were zooming in with our cameras to take the picture, it was still a perfect print. And then whatever was in the print stepped out of it.
Wow,
man!
So that's kind of typical of like Skinwalker.
Well, wait a minute, really
stuff,
quick before
right?
we change the subject to Skinwalkers, I've read with big feet encounters that there has been some telepathy between the person and Bigfoot. Is that have you heard about that?
Well, that was kind of in one of your videos, right? JC was the Indian girl who they were like kind of screaming through the windows, and it would kind of hypnotize the other little girl, or something. Was that?
That was Navajo Skinwalkers and Legends, and that was with the 8.5, 9 foot tall wolfen type entity. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You have got to go to his site,
glowing red
check
eyes.
these things out. These things are incredible. I love going to your site and going through all these things. So
Navajo Skinwalkers and Legends is a private link. That documentary is still out there, so it's on a private link. Anybody wants to email me, or you guys, of course, and I know you're a real person, I'll send you a link to it. You can watch it, but it's our documentary. I'm probably going to repackage it and put it on Google. I'm not Google, but probably Amazon. But I haven't repackaged it yet. That's a later project.
Well, when you do that, make sure
you can watch it for free.
Wow. Hey, there you go.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, let us know. We'll link to that when you do that. So
yeah,
there's a private link. I don't want a bunch of hits there because then you can. It's a potential video sale going down the drain once you watch it.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Got to make your work pay off.
That was a neat video, though. It had all kinds of different stuff, and the one that really freaked me out was the old boy who had the little creatures coming to his house begging for food, and he had a little picture of one sitting on a rock and looked like a little humanoid kind of creature.
Yeah, that's Leonard Dan. He's a Navajo elder. I've known him for over 20 years now, and I married basically into his clan and the neighboring clan about 20 years ago. And that man has traveled the country with me. He could track a cricket through a snowstorm.
That's beautiful.
Wow. If there were crickets in snowstorms.
Do we have time? I want to.
He could find.
I haven't.
Yeah, tell that story real quick.
Yeah, please, will you?
The cricket in the snowstorm?
Yeah, that one.
Is that no? The what?
Once upon a time.
No,
the one with the elder.
Yeah,
so we were just talking about.
Because I wasn't privy to this story. I didn't see this one.
Basically, he saw something in the river sitting on a rock, and it was like a little dude. And I guess when he got the way he tells the story, he got that first picture. When he got up closer to get the second picture, he dove into the water, and basically a small human form, maybe like, I guess probably 6 or 8 inches tall from that photo, swam away like a fish.
And you've known this man all the time, right?
That was way trippy, yeah.
Yeah, I've known him for over 20 years.
Oh, and you know he's a credible man, so there's no doubt in your mind that he's telling the correct story, and that is what it is?
As far as I'm concerned, I just take everybody at their word.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Yeah.
Until the evidence proves otherwise.
Yeah. That's right.
Well, I watched the skull video of the young man who found the skull up when he was camping and brought it back to his house, and it kept coming back.
Yeah, that was a pretty frightening. And out of that story, I got to meet a lot of the other people who were involved with that whole situation. What a freaky deaky thing to happen to somebody, just
and the
weird.
Video, if you haven't seen it, it's very good. I mean, because it's so simple. The young man's just sitting next to his computer, and he's just asking him to tell the story, and he tells the story. And I don't know, if I was an interrogator, I would say, yeah, the kid's telling the truth. And it sounds a little crazy, but if you're into the paranormal stuff, what doesn't?
Yeah,
true that.
Yeah, for sure.
And we believe at this point that he had found an actual skull of a skinwalker, which would mean the skinwalker met his demise while he was shifted over into whatever form he was. Typically, this would have probably been a wolfen form. And there are times when you can dispatch one and they won't turn back into a human. I think most of the time they'll turn back into a human or half human. I've heard about some closed casket funerals of people who didn't shift back all the way. They might have still had elk legs or something, or a half an elk body and half a human body. There's some really weird stuff, but
that's hard to explain to Grandma.
Yeah, for sure.
What's wrong with Uncle Bob's legs?
Yeah,
he's shifting.
How common is this skinwalker thing?
Very common on the reservation. Very common.
Now that's a question I had. Is this? Since
I'm
it's so
stealing
common,
your questions for sure.
Oh,
yeah,
are you? Is
yeah.
that because it's so common on the reservation? Is this because of their religious beliefs? So like more Christians see ghosts than non-Christians. Do more Native Americans see skinwalkers and furry creatures? And
because that's a Native American phenomenon, kind of more. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think with the Caucasian end of it, what we would be more along the lines of looking into is the weir, as in werewolf. But, Chief Dan Leonard Dan, the same elder we were just talking about, he tells me that there's some rich people sending for these shamans to come and show them how to shapeshift, how to do this. Anyone can do it.
Goddamn rich people, man. They get to do everything. They get the yachts.
It's like that Bigelow dude, right?
No, you can shape. You can hire somebody to teach you to
buy
shape
up Skinwalker ranches.
That is not right.
Do you know the Bigelow dude that did the skin? Is it Bigelow that did the Skinwalker ranch here in Vernal in Utah?
I'm not familiar. I know of George Knapp and a lot of the different players involved with the scientific study up there.
Yeah. That was a trip. I didn't know too much about it, and one of our guests introduced us to it, and there a lot of trippy stuff went on there. UFO sightings and shape-shifting things and
poltergeist
stuff
activity
and poltergeist and wormholes.
I'm still not completely clear on what a skinwalker actually is. Is it kind
number
of
one? Let me take you through a brief synopsis, okay? Let's say I want to join this exclusive club. The first thing I have to do is sacrifice someone very near and dear to me and bring them in, either bring them in alive and let the practicing shamans kill them in front of me, or I bring them in dead, but they have to be fresh because we're going to feast on some of their body parts. We're going to make potions and powders out of soft tissues in the liver and in the kidneys and different things like that. If it's a good-looking person, one of the elders might practice some necrophilia on the corpse. So that's your first. So that's step number one. Step number two, you are not. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. This is the first step to become a skinwalker?
Yes.
These things? No. Wow. Okay.
All right. Continue.
Yeah.
Step number two, you're going to practice with an elder or a shaman. And you have to probably start with one animal you want to emulate. You start by wearing the hide. And you go out and you practice and you go out and scare people. Or, if they send you out to kill somebody or ruin somebody's brakes on their car so they have an accident or whatever, you just keep apprenticing them into this evil. Eventually, with enough evil, they can emulate, actually shapeshift and transform physically, probably 90 to 95% into this animal, whether it be an elk or a deer. 95% of what I've investigated over the years has been a wolfen type situation, an upright wolfen looking thing.
And what would be the
most effective thing?
What would be the advantage of being a skinwalker? Because it sounds like a lot of work that's kind of dirty to get there.
What would be the advantage? My gosh, I would love to be a werewolf just for a while.
But
can they only morph into one thing? Can they be different humans and all kinds of stuff?
They probably have typically one token animal, but it doesn't mean they couldn't turn into something else.
Wow.
And so that's still being practiced today?
Yeah, here's the deal. Back before the incarceration of the Navajos to Fort Sumner, the Skinwalker used to be a part of the Dene, the people. the Skinwalker used to help the people. The Skinwalker would go out in a disguise, even back in the days of the conquistadors, and spy and get as much intel as they could, something that wouldn't attract a lot of attention. Maybe they made themselves a coyote, and they just stood off at a distance where they could hear and try to understand what the plans were for the next day and go back and tell the people. They used to go and spy in the cavalry and go back and share the information with the people as best they could, the Dene. After their incarceration in Fort Sumner, when they come home, they get most of their tribal lands back, very much divided and so forth. They learned some really bad habits from the white man. When they got out, they wanted the white man's flour, they wanted the white man's coffee. They got some really bad cooking habits from Fort Sumner that they do to this day.
Wow.
That's crazy. So it did, in the beginning, it did serve a tactical purpose.
It did serve a tactical purpose, and I'm told at that time, and it all goes back to the sacrifice, whatever, it would be a generational sacrifice. What it's become, and that doesn't excuse it in my book, what it's become is, each and every one of you, bring in your sister, your grandma, especially bring in your sister or something like that. It's turned into that. And it's turned into not so much we find any really good medicine practiced on the reservation anymore. It's more like extortion. You go pay the medicine man to lift a curse off of you, and he's probably the one who got paid to put it on you in the first place. It's a lot of extortion going on. There's no really good medicine anymore.
Wow, man, that could really be a good movie.
So but really, in reality, there are wealthy people who are shelling out money and starting this, and they're actually killing members of their family so they can be a shapeshifter.
Yeah, and or someone near and dear to them. I don't know.
Wow.
Leonard Dan. We call him Chief Dan. Chief Dan, the elder. He's really worried. Like Al Qaeda will pay someone to teach him how to do this, and eventually you can become invisible and travel in spirit form.
Oh no! See, that's cool. That's cool.
He's really worried about Al Qaeda being able to travel in spirit form and go into some government installation and mess something up. He's worried about that, and maybe he's granted that.
Would we notice? If they mess something up, I don't know if we'd notice right about now.
Wow, probably not.
Yeah. That's a horrible
thing.
It's
all screwed up.
That's not necessarily on the top of my word.
So I've heard all kinds of little whispers and stuff about your own personal experience. So, but what is your is the footprint in the sand there the freakiest, scariest personal experience you've had?
Or
are we not telling?
With what entity? I have to clear that up.
There you go. Yeah, what's your one? What's the best one?
I prefer the fuzzy guy or a dog man, but he's kind of scary. But the fuzzy guy, because I have the Harry and the Hendersons Bigfoot in my head. When everybody says Bigfoot, I think of Harry and the Hendersons.
Chewbacca, for me. Yeah.
Really? Is he a Bigfoot?
Chewbacca's Bigfoot.
Sort of.
You're not very far off with a Chewbacca type situation, because we've got definitely two different body styles out here in the Four Corners area. What's up on the mountains looks like King Kong, six-pack abs, barrel chest, huge arms, huge in height. What I've noticed down here on the river is I call them the scragglies. That's in your thing there. They're more. I think they're more proportionate human-wise. They could probably be up to 12 feet tall.
Wow.
But they look more like Chewbacca, only without the black nose. And they're a little more gangly, dangly, not so huge and wide and thick. They're more proportionate to, I would say, human features. And
do you feel that they live in a commune kind of society, or large family groups, or in caves, or
in trees,
like early men? Because I'm just trying to.
What do you think? What do you think their daily life's like? Where do they live? Where do they hang out?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
If we knew that, we could find them pretty easy.
They've got a hotel.
It's like you lose AM, PM on the corner.
You lose your keys, and they're like, "Well, where's the last place you had it?" Well, if I knew that, they wouldn't be lost, would they?
I would say we're going back to the body type of the Chewbacca. The one we named Scar was continually at a fishing hole down on the San Juan River. Now, he was seen by quite a few people. Back in 2005, there were all kinds of sightings. He was very, I wouldn't say friendly, he was just really seeking human contact. He would walk right into people's yards in the broad daylight, things like that, till the rifles came out and he'd take off running. But, I mean, he used to do a lot of bad bird whistling, things like that. I mean, so many different people saw this individual. In 2005, we named him. And then we got to witness him fishing. Now, in his company were two of what I call the linebackers, the big burly ones we see on the mountains. But they were like 5 feet tall. We're assuming juveniles. But they were a rather eclectic group. Very eclectic group. So here we've got what I would consider two subspecies of each other together. Kind of strange.
Wow.
So where did they come from?
Where did they come from?
Yeah. Where do you think they came from? I mean, are they just leftovers of some extinct?
Is it a science experiment gone wrong? Are they aliens? Are they?
Interdimensional beings?
We've got to look at over 500 years of sightings. We've got to look at over 500 years of reports, oral tradition from the Native Americans. We've got to look at the rock drawings. There's a rock drawing up on the Ute Reservation that's very descriptive, and it's probably 8 or 9 feet tall. I'm going to get permission to go look at it, but it's probably from around 1000 A.D.
Wow.
That's pretty old. So this is not an experiment gone awry. This is something a lot older, much older.
I think do you think the legend of the Beowulf is also a legend of a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch or Dogman sort of thing?
Anything's possible. Anything's possible with that.
I was going to say back to the Egyptian times, too, where they have he was talking about going back to the Skinwalker thing, how they half materialized into person and half,
animal heads
animal, whatever. There's a lot of that depicted in Egyptian pictographs and whatnot of partial, half man, half beast type things. I wonder if this goes way back, clear back to then.
Well, you go back to Anubis, and, Anubis, the young man in Navajo Skinwalkers and Legends talked about the thing that knocked on his door. And the first thing he thought of was the Egyptian god Anubis.
Oh,
right.
With the appearance. And I've had that description, also the Wolfen description. Mm-hmm. But upright walking, muscular, everything muscular. When we were looking at front pads, it's not paws, it's hands. So we've got something shifted into a Wolfen variety with hands. It's not wearing a hide because we can see muscular legs, we can see a muscular chest, we can see a muscular shoulder. Everything's right there to look at. It's not a suit. It's not Hollywood glitter being put together with special technique type things. This is pretty obviously a very real entity in the flesh.
Yeah.
So my question is, so now we've got him, we captured him. Now, do we take him to the Hilton or do we take him to the zoo?
Yeah. Well,
where on the spectrum does he fit?
It depends on what size you catch, and you better catch a little one. And I think a little one, even probably 100 pounds could just throw you around like a rag doll.
Wow.
And I think when you get into something larger, you would have to have some kind of really special enclosure or cage. The strength of these creatures is unimaginable.
So more than a gorilla, then?
I would definitely say so. And these are not necessarily related to gorillas or monkeys.
Really?
These are not monkeys. If you're, we've got a lot of people who they're going to be really surprised, that this is not a monkey.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to pet my monkey? No, it's not a monkey.
I don't know if you guys have noticed, but he has made some allusions to alien connections and Sasquatch, Bigfoot.
What do you think, JC? Is there any connection between this Skinwalker, Bigfoot, crypto field altogether? What do you think?
I'm not going to rule out anything. We've got Brenda Harris has some video, and it was a kind of a stakeout she was doing, and she was trying to capture some things that were coming into her backyard, typically Sasquatch, and she's caught some really amazing things on film. One of them I call Shadow Man, which might be something else. It could be a Sasquatch. Another one is Ghost Wolf. It gallops through the frames about 2 or 3 feet above the ground, and it's almost translucent, and it shoots straight up. So really amazing things. What we see in another section of the videotape she was running is a portal and or a mothership in her back field, and you see a blue light, and it gets brighter, 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 bigger, and then we see figures moving in and out of this light.
Oh, wow.
And at one point, you even see like a ramp come out of this light.
Really?
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
and you can see the figures, and we haven't got a good enough capture as far as going to digital, and we don't have good enough equipment. So that's something on the drawing board, but I am very curious about the figures that I'm seeing moving in and out of the light. Very curious.
Great.
They look kind of furry.
Now, before you got involved in all this, or is there a before? Did you start out as a young kid being excited about the legends of Bigfoot? And
I think when I was a little kid, probably up to about age 10 or 11, 12, I picked up everything I could on this phenomenon. When we lived out on the farm, Fate magazine came in once a month, and my brother and I would race out to the mailbox. We knew the day it was coming. We'd almost tear it in half. And, growing up on the farm, we got to read all these cool stories about UFOs and Bigfoots and ghosts and things like that. It was quite a flight of fancy for some young men growing up on a farm. It was kind of interesting at the time, too. I was reading Tim Beckley, and he was writing for Saga and Fate magazine. And some years later, here we are friends. It's kind of a cool thing, the way things come full circle. But, I think I lost interest probably around age 13. I discovered females, and that's really all I thought about. But
that will do it every time.
There's
guiding.
She's a female.
Off and on for about a little over 20 years. And I was doing some guiding up on the Rim Lakes, the Mogollon Rim. I was doing some bootlegging, fishing trips up there and things like that. And I think our first real horrific encounter happened in 99. I'd had suspicions, different things were happening to the camps I would have up there and people I would have out. We'd have sometimes 20, 30 people out in a camping scenario in some remote areas. I'd get them back there by the water. We'd always have extra kayaks and canoes to get everybody to the locations where we're going to. And then they could hike, they could play, they could fish, whatever they wanted to do, like a little mini vacation. And we had a lot of strange things happen, especially in Blue Ridge area on the Blue Ridge Reservoir. And just some things I couldn't explain, and I had suspicions, but to me, Sasquatch, Bigfoot was a Pacific Northwest thing. It wasn't in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 99, we had a pretty horrific encounter, and that changed my mind. That's when I think that's when I really started consciously looking and consciously, making a mental note. Okay, that wasn't a banshee. That was something else, and now you need to really pay attention.
Interesting.
Well, that's what I asked you about your history and your past, because I know lots of people who go camping and hunting and everything. They've been doing it their whole life. They've never seen a Sasquatch. They've never seen anything that they could say was paranormal of any kind. But it seems like the more you believe, the more you see.
Right.
Do you find that true with you? Is it your belief helps you see more?
Yeah, seeing's believing. Seeing's believing. I've probably, over the years, there's probably 10 different creatures that I've seen that I would identify. And that's not including, some shadowy or if I just saw the backside or whatever, I wouldn't call that a sighting. But I've seen the backsides take off, and I know what it is. But I mean, I could honestly recognize 10 different individuals, and it's been some years since I've seen some of them, so they've probably changed quite a bit. I mean, but as far as burned in my brain, there's probably 10 different individuals I could identify with. I usually name them all too.
Sounds like Jane Good. It's like you've got them all named. Are you worried that someone's going to find out where these are and just start shooting them?
That's just not wise. And the one thing that hasn't been refuted, because some of the DNA, the early mitochondrial tests that were done in this study, when we have a human factor involved in the mitochondrial DNA, that hasn't been denied.
Okay. So they get to go to
you would have to think, at least at this point, if you're looking at the mitochondrial DNA and the markers are there, and it hasn't been denied that we have a human factor, what percent of this creature has to be human for you to go to jail if you whack one?
Yeah, there we go.
Sure.
And that's what happens with disclosure. And when all this becomes public and everyone's aware of this, then we're going to have to rethink some things. Now, do we need to set aside giant tracts of forest and land for these creatures? No. They're doing just fine without us, believe me.
Sure. Have for years.
Yeah.
But I would, I'm the education guy. So when you pick up your bear tags and you go out into an area where these creatures inhabit, you're going to sign off on this pamphlet that you recognize that these creatures are there, it's real, what to look for, the education end of it.
Right. Interesting.
Right.
That's where I'm at.
Take a break. It's break time. So
it's time for a break.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll open up the questions and phone lines if anybody wants to call.
Yep.
Callers, I'm so excited.
Chat room's open, so we'll take chat room questions from the chat room. There's also a hotline you can call in and
if you want to call, it's
ask JC a question. So
it's 1-888-919-2355.
Yep. So we'll be right back. We'll take a short break. JC, we'll be right back with you here on Truth Theorem Radio.
Truth Theorem Radio. Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you, and your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Let TalkStream Live transform the way you listen to radio. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mobile talk radio from TalkStream Live. Now available in the iTunes App Store.
Jamie Havocan here for UFO Magazine. If you're not a subscriber, you are missing out on the top quality articles in ufology and more. Subscribe. Go to UFOmag.com and keep up to date on topics in ufology and more. If you want to know what's going on, you want to know the latest news, you want to see what certain people are saying about others, you can get no better than UFO Mag. Head there now, UFOmag.com, and tell them Jamie sent you. You'll get a good deal. And they're doing a nice introductory offer.
Wow. It's kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
It's all part of the plan.
Are you sure this is legal?
I don't know. It's fun though, isn't it?
Ta-da.
We are back.
And we are back.
All right. We got JC Johnson on the line and Bigfoot extraordinaire, expert, and researcher. And we are going to be taking some questions in the chat room. and on phone, maybe if somebody calls in. So feed your questions in. The one thing I got on the chat room earlier I noticed was, where do big feet live? Do they live in caves or do they live in trees, do you think?
I think they will take shelter pretty much anywhere that's convenient. And if it's near a food source, they would probably take shelter there. And they're very nomadic, but they're going to stay in a designated area. If they are territorial, like most of us believe they are, they're going to make the most of every inch of that territory. So they will take advantage of any type of shelter they can get. We've found evidence of them in caves. We found evidence of them in trailers down by the river. We found evidence of them in old sheep camps up on the mountain. They might be in some old shack or some old barn. And it's just, I think they take advantage of just about everything. They might have some very good knowledge of some underground cave systems. They might have some very good knowledge of some underground tunnel systems from eons ago. I know for a fact out in the Hogback area, there's a lot of old closed-down mining shafts and tunnel systems there, too, that they could well be taken advantage of, especially during the winter months, because once you get deep enough into a cave, in this area, you've got a 50-degree temperature year-round, whether it be summer or winter. That's where the Anasazi had it going on, because they built inside the cliffs, they built into the ground, and in the summertime they could walk into a 50-degree room when it's 110 outside. And in the wintertime, they could just have a small fire in a 50-degree temperature when it's 10 degrees below zero outside. So, I mean, you know, the in-the-ground sheltering makes a lot of sense. Do they know how to make fire? Perhaps. I've heard some of them make fire.
Really?
Yeah.
Because they're eating all this stuff raw, you know, unless they aren't making fire, I thought.
That was another question. What are they eating? I noticed in a few of your videos, too, I was going to touch on that, as well as the rabbit video, and there was one with sheep and the skunk one as well. All those instances, these animals were completely devoid of blood, but the carcasses were left behind.
Well, once again, with the skunk thing, you've got blood everywhere, and you've got the attacker's blood inside the pipe with skunk blood. The night before photos Brenda got, you've got exterior blood on the pipe, which is from the attacker. So that wasn't exactly a bloodless carnage. And we know what did this. One of the sheep slaughters, well, actually two of them that we have videos on, those were bloodless carnages. I mean, I worked at a packing house. I was a butcher off and on for 27 years, actually a gourmet butcher, but I've had to work at slaughterhouses and things like that over the years. I know what happens when you open up an animal. And to go out to the scene or the site of these slaughters, and I know the guts have been pulled out. I know we've had these different types of injuries happen to these animals and have no blood at the scene. I find that very strange.
Yeah.
Typically, I wouldn't say that was something Sasquatch did.
So there's another connection.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You know what I thought was interesting in the video with the 4-H? There were a lot of different animals there, and probably ones that would be easier access than what he actually went after, or whatever this went after. What are your thoughts on that?
Somebody had a taste for these rabbits. It's just weird. You know, they do weird things, man. I'd be like grabbing me some turkeys. I'd be grabbing me some geese. Like, oh, those pheasants look good. I'd go there with a shopping list. But I mean, 2 nights in a row, the target was the rabbits for whatever reason. And it's just a weird thing. And what a smorgasbord. I mean, what a buffet. All those animals. And God bless his family, because what they do is they raise these animals for underprivileged kids who can't really raise them at home. They can come visit their animal. They can come care for their animal, but they know that their animal is going to be fed. And come showtime for the 4-H, these underprivileged kids get to take those animals and show them. So it's a cool thing. You know, that's why it's a little more tragedy on our end with the human tragedy of some of this stuff. You know,
I just lost a lot of respect for Bigfoot. He's like the Grinch.
No, wait. We just in the chat room here. Skywatcher has taken full responsibility. She said she did it. She loves rabbits.
Anyway,
she did.
Tell her I have her blood sample. I have her DNA.
You've been caught.
No, I'm just trying to figure out, how do you tell these underprivileged children, how do you tell them the Sasquatch story? That's what happened to your rabbit.
The Bigfoot got him.
Yeah, the Bigfoot got you. It's not that I didn't feed her water. No, that didn't happen.
While we were out there, some friends of that family came and got the rest of the rabbits, and things were quiet for a while. You know, they just got rid of all the rabbits. I mean, that's the kinky thing going on here, guys. Is the bunny rabbits, here for a while. And once the rabbits went away, things kind of quieted down. Then they picked up again, and some different things happened there. And one of the young men from that family he was over in Saudi Arabia. He's a civilian contractor. And I got some irate PMs from him on Facebook. And, the family didn't tell us, but his favorite black lab was found with a broken neck.
Oh, that's not good.
One of their horses was found out in the field with a broken neck. And we can't really tie into a perpetrator. We have our ideas, but it kind of gets personal on that end.
Sure.
It wasn't like this family ever did anything. I talked to them. They never shot at one of these things running across a cornfield. Nothing of that nature. It's just like they were suddenly targeted. And obviously, they still are.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got another question from the chat room, JC. What about different species of Bigfoot? Where do you stand there?
I would say... and this is speaking off the cuff. I think what's in the study, the DNA study with over 100 samples that match all the markers, you probably, in this particular study, is your classic North American Sasquatch. I've been down south. There's stuff down south that it probably is not related to these. There's things... There's some stuff down south I think is 100% nasty-ass ape. I have no better way to put it.
Right.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the slave ships and so forth, they were bringing exotic things from Africa back in the 1700s and so forth that escaped and got loose down in some of these swamps. There's some really, really strange, nasty things running around down there. There's stuff down there that regularly kills people.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
There's stuff down there that has a three-toed claw track. It resembles a gator, but if it was a gator track, it'd be like a 40-foot-long gator. And this thing is bipedal. And we've got amphibian, reptile, and human markings.
Wow.
And the same print. If that doesn't freak you out.
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow,
Yeah.
that's true. Oh.
Yeah,
Really?
at the beginning of the show, I said I wanted to go with you. I don't.
Never mind. You
Yeah,
changed
never
your
mind. I don't. Never mind. Send me.
I
the
didn't
video.
say I didn't want to go just because I didn't. I just wanted to fit in, but I
just-
didn't want to go
okay.
either.
I don't know if I want to see this stuff.
I got another question from the chat room. How do you theorize that they communicate with one another? Do you think it's ESP or hand signals? Do you have spoken language? Is it tree bumping? What is it?
Tree bumping?
I quit tree knocking because I don't know if I'm saying something bad about their mama. And I worry about that. So
I've got a bunch of rabbits killed for saying that.
Exactly.
I heard that that's what they do. That there's some kind of they pick up a piece of firewood kind of thing and knock them together
Beat
to
it on a
communicate.
tree or whatever.
it sounds, when you hear a really super duper good knock, it's like a 10-pound cannonball smacking into a tree. To try and imitate that sound, it's just, you could break your arms. You could break your wrists trying to mimic that sound. I mean, I've heard the bowling ball hitting the tree sound, and it's just what an incredible, massive amount of energy it must take to produce that sound, because when they whack on trees, it travels for miles. And, I've heard even on like hollow logs and different logs, I've heard rhythmic drumming where there's probably 2 or 3 individuals involved and I've heard rhythmic drumming. I'm a drummer too. You know, I play drums, so I'm like, man, that's a pretty funky beat y'all got going on. You know, and this was some early years back up on the Blue Ridge, where one night at my camp I heard some hollow log thumping drumming stuff, and all kinds of hell going on up on a ridge, maybe a quarter mile away from me. But I honestly heard rhythmic drumming. And it would have to be 2 or 3 players making the rhythmic drumming noises.
What do you think about it being a vocal phenomenon instead of a percussion phenomenon?
They're making the noise with their voices?
Yeah, maybe so.
Huh?
Maybe that's why it's so hard to imitate.
I'm thinking, at least on this particular occasion, we had some hollow logs and trees involved with the sounds I was hearing. Mm-hmm. I've also heard the chest pops. I've heard them pop their chest, and you get kind of a thunky, weird sound when they pop their chest.
Wow.
Is that like beating the chest like a gorilla does, popping?
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah, I've heard that. You know, and I can discern that from, you know, wood on wood versus them popping on their chest. And I think they can pop on their chest and open their mouth in different ways and make a different sound. It's really weird. I've heard that too.
What about rock stacking? Is it a phenomenon that they are responsible for? Oh.
That's another thing, too. A lot of these places, especially out on the Jicarilla Reservation, the Navajo Reservation, we talk to the sheep herders. Are you stacking these rocks up? You know, is this a boundary area? Does this, you know, tell other people not to bring your sheep in? And we didn't put these rocks here. You know, we don't, you know, we know where we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to do, where our sheep are supposed to go, where our cattle are supposed to go, short of barbed wire fences or whatever. You know, we aren't making these rock stacks. And then we've talked to other people. When you see a rock stack put up in such a way, they might well be waiting maybe 6 months. You know, we're going to come back through in 6 months. Let's make this rock stack so a bunch of rodents get inside of it, take refuge, and we'll come back through in 6 months and squish this rock stack down, take it apart, and we'll have a bunch of flattened rodents to dine on.
That's smart.
Yeah,
that's really smart.
Yeah, okay. I think we have a caller on hold, I believe.
We have a caller?
Is there a caller online?
It's MJ.
Oh, hey, MJ. How are you?
Hey, right on.
MJ's with Ping Radio here on the Inception Radio Network. Right. We love MJ. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Great kick-ass show tonight, guys.
Thank you very much. You got a question for our guest?
Yeah, I just was wondering his stance on eye shine. Does he think that their eyes self-illuminate or it's more of a reflective off of light?
I've tried to stay pretty much scientific with that, too. I can't really say, other than probably perhaps some incidents with other entities other than Sasquatch, because we have had independent red glowing eyes or red yellow eye shine independently of any outside light source. That's happened with other things. With Sasquatch, at least in my situations, my personal experiences, I think I could always point to some type of illumination, whether it be firelight or something of that variety, or actually lighting them up with a spotlight or a flashlight. From personal experience.
Have you seen other different colors, JC, too, of eye shine?
I think steel blue is probably the most unusual, kind of a steel blue shine.
Wow. Ooh. Not good.
That's creepy.
Yeah, that is.
And here's another thing, too, is we're told that if you see the red eye shine independently at night, that they're scanning you. I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know. We're told that, you know, and if it goes from red to green to yellow, then they're standing down from the red alert as they scan you. So, I mean, obviously, if we look into that aspect of it, it's, you know, we're going more into a completely paranormal situation, which I'm not going to rule out. And as we dig deeper into the DNA of these creatures, it's starting to point to a lot of different things.
I'm waiting for the Predator to pop out and Arnold Schwarzenegger to take him on, because this sounds like kind of like a Predator creature. It can make itself invisible. It has all kinds of different light spectrums it can see through. Is this what you're kind of?
No, this is where I'm at. From my personal experiences, that's all I can really share with you. And that's all I can really talk to you about. This is what I saw. This is what I witnessed. Have I seen this? Have I seen that? No. Have I heard the stories? Yes. Have I come across the track lines that disappear? Yes. Have I had things like so many unexplainable things? But I can't necessarily say this unexplained account. Could I attribute it to being a Sasquatch? Possibly.
That's interesting.
When they leave the prints, when we've got the prints, we can look at the prints, and that's what's left after a sighting, and it's right there, right where you saw it. Then we can say, yes, that's what it was, and it did this, or it did that.
MJ, that was an awesome question. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, thanks, thank you. You're the very first caller.
Yeah, I win.
You win!
Yeah.
I don't know what you win.
Truth Theorem T-shirt.
Nice. Thanks, guys.
You get half of the case of whiskey they're sending me. I'm sharing it with you, MJ.
Not great.
He's sharing his whiskey. That's very generous of him.
I had another question from the chat room, JC. Has there ever been any Bigfoot bones discovered?
I think Dave Pilates, and I'm not really sure on this. I think Dave Pilates has a bone that he found that's actually into the DNA study. They probably, if they've gotten down into the marrow or however they're going to test this bone, I believe it's in the study.
Okay.
But it's not done yet. Okay.
Not done yet. Okay.
So I got to know.
It's done and in for peer review. That's where I'm at.
Oh, it's
I got you.
Perfect.
I got to know, what is the plural for Bigfoot?
Yeah. That's a good question. Big feet. Big feet. Big feet. Big footses.
I think it would be, I saw 5 Bigfoot. Does that make sense?
Bigfoot.
Or
There we go.
Bigfoot. I think Bigfoot is Bigfoot. And I think Bigfoot is clash. Yeah, typically I say the furry ones, but then people get confused because I'm talking about other furry entities and so forth. I typically call them the furry ones because we've got some varieties out here. We really do have some different varieties. And I would say nationwide, we've probably got 10 or 15 types of hominids out there. Really, honestly.
About some of them, can you highlight a couple that would be very interesting that we don't know about?
I would go based on appearance, and we've got actually I've probably witnessed 3 different body types out here over the years. The first one I saw in the Four Corners area was an 8-foot tall, skinny Grinch.
Grinch?
Yeah, looking at it from the back, he had a really pointy head. And I kind of said it looked like a Grinch head, and then he kind of turned sideways and took off, but he was skinny, gray in color. It might have been a lot of it due to the dust and so forth, too, because a vehicle had passed before me, before I got him in my headlights. But, he looked freaky-deaky, and, he had hands almost down to his ankles.
Did he talk like Jim Carrey?
Yeah. No, I was just wondering. I just thought maybe some stranded guy, he just drives by. Oh, help me. He just came, I was a freak.
How long do you think the lifespan of a Bigfoot is? Do you think these are like one beings that are living 500 years or what do you think?
I really don't know. And that's another thing, too, is a lot of the people in the study we're calling, and they're called the habituators, and these are people who actually are having relationships and or even conversations and or interactions with the furry ones.
Relationships?
Yeah. I mean, not like they're holding hands and going to a Sunday social or something. It's not that.
I need a little more clarification. Sorry,
but there are some who call them their teachers and so forth, and they've gained the trust of perhaps a pot of them or something of that nature. And the stories coming from them are very interesting. Very interesting.
So are these sightings limited to a certain part or parts of the country or world, or are these all over the place? Or
they're everywhere but Hawaii. But Hawaii has the little mini Bigfoots. I forgot what they call them. And I was talking to a gentleman about them who'd spent some time in Hawaii, lived there.
Mini Hoonies?
No, Littlefoot.
Littlefoots.
Yeah, they used to trade with him, and we get a lot of oral tradition from the Native Americans out this way, not necessarily in the Four Corners, but we get up in the Washington, Oregon areas. They used to trade with the furry ones. They had a relationship. They'd bring in a bunch of hides or something, and they had a trading system. They had that interaction with them.
Well, there is biblical references to giants living amongst us, several thousand years ago. Do you think the Bible is referring to these things?
And that's another thing. I said a lot of things for quite a few years that I really am not going to talk about until the study comes out.
Okay.
Oh, all right. That's part of it then, I guess.
I noticed in your bio, I was reading through your bio, and you had all kinds of stuff other than like Bigfoot and stuff that you researched. And you got like giant snakes and werewolves and living dinosaurs and dragons, centaurs, giant birds, skinwalkers, cryptid. There's all kinds of stuff do you do. What do you think's the most fascinating cryptoid that you've ever researched?
I think of one of, with the Sasquatch, we bag Sasquatch. We've got 109 parts of Sasquatch on a global scale into this study without having to completely produce a body. And I hope it goes down this way. I hope Bubba from Georgia doesn't whack one in the next 2 or 3 days and go public with it, because this study has been ongoing, and there's a lot of different organizations and some wonderful people, including Dr. Melba Ketchum, involved in this, and just a heartfelt, blood-letting. It's been a lot.
So let's jump back.
Well, I want to know really quick, is there any connection between Bigfoot and UFOs that you know of?
Working with Eileen Gronette, she had quite a following up in, I believe, Washington State, and she moved to Cortez. And we hooked up on, outside of Facebook, she'd gotten some information, get a hold of me, and she's got Aerial Phenomenon Research Group. And what she does is puts people under hypnosis who've been abducted or abductees. And she's very good at it. I mean, she's very renowned for her ability to take people who've been abducted and transgress them back to the actual abduction. I won't give any names, but one of the people actually is a good friend of mine. Now, whether this ties in or not, the first thing they witnessed was a large, hairy individual, 9 or 10 feet tall, swinging a tree back and forth. And they were kids. They were kids. And they were like, oh, wow, okay. And the cousin told the other cousin, we're going to back out of here. We're going to move backwards, and we're going to get away from this. And that's the last thing they remembered. But the thing is, when they got home, they'd been gone for like 4 hours, and they were only like 200 or 300 yards from their house.
Yeah.
So she puts he would have been a young man at the time. He's probably in his 40s when she regresses him back with the hypnosis. After that sighting, a craft appeared, and they were invited on board the craft, and he was giving some details about what the craft looked like. And when they pointed for him to lay on this table, he went and laid on this table. That's when he came out of the hypnosis. He didn't want to go any further.
Interesting.
So do the two factors tie in, or is it coincidence? I don't know. And I don't want to get the crazy batshit nuts.
I got you.
Yeah,
I don't want to wear that title. I'll wear the title of a hard-drinking, foul-mouthed, lecherous adventure man. And I'm expert on nothing. So, I mean, don't call me an expert. I think what I can relay and share with everyone is perhaps having been and excuse my French again, perhaps having been a shit magnet for quite some years. That's really what I'm sharing with you.
That's what
I would share personal stories. I can share personal recollections of people I've interviewed and things like that. But I mean, mostly I would share you one-on-one with what I've seen and what's happened to me over the years. That's really where I'm at. And I'm not an expert on anything. And I'm a very poor judge of whiskey. Keep that in mind too.
Whatever works.
You're like the Kit Carson of Bigfoot hunting.
Exactly.
Because it's only people like you that take the risk to go out and research this stuff and to expose themselves to the public and say, this is what I saw. I know it sounds ridiculous, but this is what I saw.
Yeah.
You're willing to take that mantle on.
Kudos.
We appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's, I completely believe you, and I wish I could see them, but I'm still not going out with you because
you wimp.
I may.
Yes, no, I'm right there with you.
It's all about the truth, gentlemen. Really, we at the end of the day, when my head hits the pillow, the little devil who stands on my left shoulder says, "You're a hard-drinking, foul-mouthed, lecherous adventure man," and then the little angel on my other shoulder says, "Thank you, JC. Today you were telling truthful stories and sharing truthful things, and that's really all I can do." You know,
right?
We love you.
I'm in search of the truth. I just don't want it to eat me.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the only. I don't want to be eaten by the truth.
Okay, got another question. A couple more quick ones from the chat room here. Why is Bigfoot so hard to capture?
if you could see how fast they move. I've never seen anything move so fast. I one occasion, I had one close enough behind me to feel its breath and body heat on my back. By the time I spun around with my pistol and a flashlight, this thing was 20 yards away busting brush. That quick. Like almost a blur. That's how quick it was.
Man, you are the... Bigfoot is scared of you.
Yeah, yeah.
That is crazy.
He's the Wyatt Earp
Look out,
of the Bigfoot. We've changed. No longer Kit Carson. He's Wyatt Earp.
Wow.
All right. But
I'm really grateful because it was we put everything together the next day, and this was a river trip, the last public river trip I did. And we kind of recreated the situation. It had been sitting on a cottonwood branch about 4 feet above the ground, a great big branch. I'm so glad my light didn't find it. I would have had a heart attack and died because I would have been about 3 feet away from it.
Oh, God, yeah.
MJ just called you the Bigfoot Whisperer.
Hey, that's a good title.
There you go. That's a good one.
Good job.
I had another question. What do you think about the Russian Bigfoot capture? I don't know anything about this. So.
Everything came out that they put a person in a suit, and it was for the underprivileged and homeless. What a bizarre story. But if you saw the video, I'm like, this is kind of saggy and baggy, and why doesn't the cameraman get right up in the cage and get a close-up? I mean, all the bells and whistles were going off right away. And Igor Borstev was in Michigan at the time. So it wasn't like they could call up Igor to go investigate this. And it turned out to be another charlatan situation. Why they did it, I don't know if they're trying to promote tourism in this impoverished community or zoo or whatever. I don't know. Just more weird stuff. And that's unfortunate because, in Russia, they take this very seriously, and they sponsor these hominologists and researchers and scientists. I mean, they pay for them to investigate this phenomenon. They take it very seriously in Russia, and it just kind of hurts my feelings that something like that would happen.
Wow. But it was for the children.
That's crazy.
That's the important thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay then.
Yeah, it's okay.
Well, I'm all about saving the gay baby whales for Buddha. I'm all there.
Are there gay baby whales?
Yes.
I don't get online enough.
There's a whole foundation for that.
For gay baby whales?
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow. I tell you, one of the causes most near and dear to my heart is the safe, ethical, humane treatment of crashed test dummies. I'm there, guys.
There we go.
They have feelings too. I feel bad for them. I do.
Absolutely.
Can I get a tax deduction on that one?
I'll give you my.
And it's awesome.
So here, I got another question. How does Bigfoot see so well at night? Do you think they have some sort of infrared vision or some kind of something like that, or?
We've definitely got a nocturnal thing, and a lot of this might go back into natural selection and adaptation. And once again, we're dealing with DNA. And when we go back to the original DNAs, what they are, they're being corrupted and bred back into and bred out of and so forth. And occasionally they grab us to breed back into us. They have their own natural selection thing going on. I would think with all the time that they have spent underground and or in caves and or mostly moving around at night, there's a natural selection going on.
I'm sorry.
Me being Irish and German, if my ancestors drank themselves to death, they probably wouldn't have reproduced. So my ancestors who've developed a special enzyme or whatever it is with a resistance to alcohol were able to reproduce. These particular creatures, when we talk about natural selection, somebody probably came up with some really good eyesight, and it got passed on. And it was a trait that got passed on.
Wow.
That's what your natural selection does. If you've got a long-tailed monkey that's born on the savannah and he has to run across the open plains, he's not going to last very long before a lion gets him. So,
true.
The long-tailed monkey's not going to be passed on for another generation. A short-tailed monkey will be passed on for another generation. This is not evolution, this is natural selection. And we see that happening even in species that they can study, like gnats and things like that. There's some natural selection that's going on all the time. It's adaptation. So perhaps the underground traveling at night, and or they just have special gifts that we don't have. One or the other.
Now, I could have swore you just said that they snatch people now and breed with them. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Bigfoot abductions. Then.
They're snatching men and women and breeding with them?
Apparently so.
Right.
But I would only go from reports where people have been grabbed, taken, things like that.
And reporting that they've been molested, raped?
No, we don't hear from them again. Typically, we do have reports from the Pueblo Indians and so forth. We've got Franciscan monks back in the 1700s talking about abductions, where two of the Native American women made it back from being abducted. They lived on an island in the Rio Grande with these furry ones, and they learned their habits and their patterns. When they would go out and hunt, they would bring back meat almost every day. They would grill their meat or cook their meat, and they ate their meat raw. We've got those kind of things the Franciscan monk was reporting on. They learned their habits, and they escaped off the island and traveled overland until they ran into a neighboring tribe, which weren't actually friendly with their tribe, but when they told them what happened to them, they escorted them back to their home tribe. And they both gave birth. And they had normal enough looking children.
Oh.
We've got Christian Almasty's, the story of Alma in Russia. That's a long story. You guys need to research that yourself.
I was waiting.
But she had normal enough looking children.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, he had a huge Cro-Magnon kind of brow. He was hairier than most. His skin was darker than most. He had a hair temper, but he was normal enough. He wasn't resembling his mother in all the aspects that she was covered in hair from head to toe. And she was a captured Russian Almasty, which is a long story. I'll send you links to it. You can go look at it.
All right. Cool.
Man,
all right, I got probably one last question here from the chat room. And we brushed on giant snakes earlier. And a chat room listener here wanted to know, what's the largest snake you've ever researched?
I would say the snake that was chasing one of the kayaks on a river trip. And there are no native water snakes to the San Juan River Basin, the San Juan Valley. There are no native water snakes. I mean, you've got to go get into Texas before we've got working water snakes. A bull snake will cross the water. They don't work it. A rattlesnake will cross water. They don't like it. That's not their habitat. An actual working water snake will dive underwater, catch fish, beaver, whatever they're large enough to catch and constrict or swallow. That's what they're going to do. That's what a water snake does. We don't have that out here. And it was, I think it was back in 2002, I was taking a river trip down with several people just on a day trip, and I was running point up in my kayak. And I got quite a ways up, so I'm kicking back, waiting. Here comes my ex-wife, and she's Native American. She's Navajo. And she's cranking in her kayak. And she comes up on me. She goes, "There's a snake chasing me. It's been chasing me for a couple miles." And I said, get over here. So I had her beach a little bit. We put our noses up on the bank a little bit. And she goes, look. And I looked back, and I saw the nostrils coming through the water. And I saw him dive. I said, that could have been a beaver. That could have been an otter. And she goes, it was a snake. And I stuck my hand in the water. It's about mid-March. The water's snow melt. It's 37-degree water. I mean, it's just barely above freezing. It's probably a 63 to 65-degree day. And there's a reptile working the water. Doubtful. Yeah. So, and she kept saying it was a snake. So as we were sitting there, I lit up a cigarette, and I'm talking to her. I'm trying to calm her down. And its head must have been right next to her boat, just under the water, because when it dived, I saw about an 18-inch around coil. And it came up and slimed her arm that was hanging over the side of her kayak. And I spit out my cigarette, and I was, snake! A snake! And I'm telling everybody. But it blew my mind. I mean, the impossibilities of something, I'm thinking about a water moccasin or something of that variety, being able to maneuver 37-degree water, and it seemed impossible to me. But yet we've witnessed these things time and time again, only in a smaller variety. I don't have to go catch a 30-foot one of these to bring it in. I catch a smaller one. They're very fast, but we see them. They come up serpent style, and they just look you right in the eye and bloop, pop back in the water and take off. The smaller ones.
Kind of makes you wonder how much stuff on this planet we just really don't know about. Just in our oceans alone. We've only scratched the surface in exploring our oceans and the deep forests of the world, and it just kind of makes you wonder what really is out there. And
it's not a repatriated python or somebody's pet they've let go, because I've got 150 miles of river, and I've got sightings almost in every location of this river. It's not a repatriated python. It's not like that. There's a gentleman we leave our vehicles with. When we drop in and do 2 or 3 days on this river, he watches our vehicles. And in the giant snakes video, he comes down and he talks about something in the 30 to 40-foot variety that his sons saw over on a shore, sunning itself. He talks about that. And another witness, some years ago, I was following up on some Bigfoot encounters he had, and he told me about camping down by Hogback. It was the last liquor store for 100 miles, and some of these guys would get their paychecks together and hang out down by the river and drink. And on 2 occasions, they woke up in the morning, one of their companions were gone, and there'd just be a big wide swath.
Holy crap. What?
And it was after the second guy disappeared, my witness followed the swath. And when he saw this thing swimming in about 4 feet of water, he dropped his six-pack and ran, and had been sober ever since.
Wow. That'll do it.
Wow. And I'm thinking about how big would you have to be to ingest a human and leave the area? We've seen the pictures of the python with the sheep in its belly or the goat in its belly, and it's got a big old bulge, and he's stuck there till he digests. He can't go anywhere. He's stuck. Now, how big would you have to be to ingest a human and leave the area? You'd have to be probably as big around as the human, something in the 60 to 70-foot variety, and that's what I've had described to me. I've had described to me a girth of a snake that comes up to the bumper on a raised 4x4 pickup truck.
This is anaconda.
They estimated the width because they had to move around. And when they drove and found another 2-track road, because obviously they couldn't cross there, when they bumped it, they thought it was a log. When they bumped it, it quivered. So they backed out, and they were trying to get around it, and they found the tail up another 50 feet across the road.
I'm
and they estimated
anywhere.
We could go on with you for days, Jason, and we're about out of time for today. And I'd really like to reserve the right to have you back on again.
Yes, we have to look up all this stuff now that we didn't know.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you very much for being on our show. We really appreciate you being part of our family, and we hope you remain part of our family and answering our guest questions for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You guys are wonderful. Your personalities, I would like to encourage. And you guys took really good care of my dear friend Ben Pevler a couple weeks ago. Thank you so much.
Ben's awesome.
Ben's
and he
awesome.
was in the chat room tonight all night.
We love Ben. He was cool.
Shout out to Ben. Thanks.
Listening to that show, I'm like, these guys are fun. I want to do this show. This sounds like a good time.
Well, let's again in the future.
Absolutely.
Thank you very
For
much.
sure. Yeah. We'll talk more about UFO stuff.
And, we haven't even gone there yet. And I am an author. I am in some publications on UFOs. So
tell us your books, and their
Tim Beckley's book, The Underground Alien Biolab at Dulce. I share a chapter in there with Norio Hayakawa. And I've got some deep ties to Dulce. And we'll probably talk about that another time.
Man, I wanted to hit you up with that, too.
Yeah, we're going to do it.
The whole Jesse Ventura thing down there, and you were involved with that.
I've got an inside scoop and all that for you. So, yeah.
All right, so next time, I'm excited.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, JC.
Next time we can do a terrestrial program.
Okay, let's do that.
Right on.
That'd be awesome.
We already have a title now.
All right. Well, we got you in the books. Okay.
Right.
All right. Well, we'll be
They're
right
not
back.
extra. They've been here with us all this time.
That's right.
They're just terrestrials.
Just
they're not
terrestrials.
extras.
Thanks, JC.
Friends. God bless you guys.
Hey,
You
take
too.
care.
We'll be right back with the encore here in
Just a second.
couple minutes.
So don't go away.
We'll be right back.
Truth Theorem Radio.
Hello, everybody. It's Warren, Robin, Jason with
Truth Theorem Radio.
We just wanted to drop by and remind you to check us out every Wednesday night.
Live on the Inception Radio Network
At 7 p.m. Eastern Time.
Did you say live?
Live.
There will be video.
So go to InceptionRadioNetwork.com.
And if you've missed any of our past shows, check them out on the archives page at truththeoremradio.com.
Truth Theorem Radio is made of 100% recycled material.
Hey, get out of my garbage can! Grab that.
Wow. It's kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
It's all part of the plan.
Are you sure this is legal?
I don't know. It's fun though, isn't it?
All right.
Wow.
And we are back. Wow, what a great interview with JC. That was. We need to do about 10 more probably with him.
We didn't even scratch the surface. We used a feather duster and just dusted off a little bit.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of information for us.
He does, for sure. And I was happy to. So what do you think, Rob?
I'm a Bigfoot believer.
Are you a Bigfoot believer? Do you believe what he's saying?
I always have been though, because it just seemed logical to me. Why not?
So it's truth for you.
It's not truth yet because I haven't seen one myself.
Okay.
But I'm not going with him, of course.
Seems to attract all the scary stuff.
Yeah, no. I'm going to go out by myself with a bunch of rabbits.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll stake them out. Yeah, I'll keep them alive.
Oh, okay.
It's got to be sport.
Okay, all right.
I'll keep them staked out around my tent, and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Warren? Is it truth or theorem for you?
It's still theorem for me.
Is it?
It is a little bit. I'd like to see a little bit more, I think.
I think we're going to
see a little bit more.
We're going to see a little bit more in February,
thinking.
For sure.
That's what I'm thinking. And so, I don't know. I'd like to see some of these things, the sample results come back from the peer review.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, it's still theorem for me, but I am leaning toward, it's all right.
And the idea of seeing, I would like to see a video, a clip, a photograph, or something that's in focus.
Yeah.
Could somebody do that? Could somebody?
I'm not sure the Bigfoot
camera?
is in focus. I think he's grainy.
He's probably blurry,
naturally.
for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
UFOs too. They're all grainy and out of focus. And
He's a predator.
He is.
Call Arnold. Arnold will know what to do.
I think it's truth for me. I think I'm on board. I like all this stuff, and I think that same thing with Mike Hallett with the Caesaria thing. I really think they're onto something, and I think we only know about 1% of anything that's ever lived on this planet. Mm-hmm. And to say, hey,
Bigfoot's bullshit. I don't know. I think that's kind of
short-sighted. I
short-sighted.
wouldn't go that far, but I think it needs further review.
Absolutely.
Well, and there goes my question once again. And when we do uncover them, and maybe JC is going to do that, where do we take him? Do we take him to the Hilton, or do we take him to a zoo?
Exactly.
How are we going to treat him? Is he a freak, or is he going to the circus?
From what I understand, he is an animal. He lives, out in nature. He's instinctual. He's an intelligent animal.
An intelligent animal that could possibly scan you or send you telepathy that has words in it that you can understand.
Yeah, possibly.
Not to mention,
if you jump into the Skinwalker side, that's pretty scary.
Are you saying? Is that what you're saying, that Bigfoot's separate from?
I think
maybe some Skinwalkers
I'm not sure
have been
Bigfoot
mistaken for
and
Bigfoot.
Skinwalker's the same thing. I'm
That's
not
possible.
sure.
Oh,
Maybe.
I'm on. I think they're separate creatures, separate things.
Well, yeah, but man, I don't know. Is Skinwalkers?
And I don't know. I don't know about his whole skin. I thought Skinwalker was just some kind of creature phenomenon or something in the way he talks. It's some kind of rite and ritual and all the stuff you go through to. That's scary to me.
Did that freak you out when he started giving you the recipe?
No,
the only thing that freaked me out
I don't
is thought, man, I hope neither one of these two want to be a Skinwalker.
Well, when he started out,
everybody, if I go missing, you know who did it, and you know what's up.
I'll look like a wolf, and they won't be able to find me.
That's right.
Well, when he first started talking about it, he was like talking about because he said, "We, the first thing we need to do is to kill a member of your family." I'm like, what? Is this the river rafting trip we're talking about?
Do you have a turd in your pocket?
No, So if you're really, really wealthy and you know some shamans that are willing to sell their shamanistic abilities, I guess you too can become a Skinwalker. Yeah. And but I think, Warren, you hit on the idea. For what purpose? Because becoming a werewolf, though very attractive to some people, it'd be kind of hard to hang around and
still rather be a vampire.
Yeah, the vampire thing goes for me.
Vote for vampire all the way around. Okay,
but I would like to
3 for vampire, please.
Yeah. There we go.
That's right.
So, but the whole Skinwalker thing. Okay, so they're changing, and now they become. We didn't ask him. I wanted to ask this question about if you're a Skinwalker and you want to become like a ferret.
Yeah. Well, he said they're connected to one animal body, but
why would you
that
be a
didn't
ferret?
Necessarily.
Forget
it. Yeah, they could do other stuff.
Is there too many reasons why I'd want to be a ferret that maybe I shouldn't enumerate them?
Women's locker room.
It's like, sorry, there's several universities nearby.
Okay.
Anyway,
no.
Gee. All right. Well, join us next time. Let's see. You
got to stay tuned for Project White Paper.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, that's next.
For sure.
That is next.
It's coming up with Chase Kletzky and who's our guest tonight?
It's Chet Dembrick.
Oh, okay.
Cool. Right on.
All right.
Yeah.
That should be a good show.
Stay tuned.
And join us next week with Kurt Kessler.
That's
Kessler.
right.
Oh, that'll be a good one.
Demonologist.
Demon specialist.
There's no D in that.
Did you do it right?
I did.
I'm so used to it, I don't even listen for it anymore.
I feel that song. Special ed. Demon.
Right on. Guys. Well, hey, thanks for hanging out with us tonight, and we'll see you next Wednesday, same time.
All right.
Thank you very much.
See you next time.
Dale, take us out.
Truth Theorem Radio.
Tune in next time when you'll hear Rob say,
"Oh, am I supposed to say something?"
Through this world and beyond. We wish you a good night, a good morning, a good afternoon, wherever you may be. Until next time, this is Truth Theorem Radio.
Pretty successful broadcast.
Now that's for some straight up David Copperfield shit.
Great. Can I go throw up now?
That's very funny to me. Y'all ain't laughing though.